All right. Welcome back to another Evenings with Kirk and Murray. I'm Kirk,
I'm
and
not.
he's definitely not Kirk. And this is my main man Murray. Murray moves.
Hello, hello.
So we're under quarantine.
It's not quarantine.
Yeah, no, that's not true. We're keeping our distance, but we're trying to make it seem like we're not keeping our distance from each other, right?
It's called social isolation
Yeah. High
to
school.
prevent, to, yeah, I guess, to
It's like
prevent
me.
the spread of the diseases,
So what happened is, if you guys don't know, is there's this virus going
which is
around.
also like high school.
Yeah. And it's like basically this virus that just made all the women just really horny for me and Murray, and we had to isolate
Mm,
ourselves from the world because they were going crazy. They couldn't know we were out there, you know?
I don't want any part of that virus. But
It's called the cooties.
the,
It's the cooties
the,
virus.
the actual, imagine that was real. Imagine this virus was called the cooties.
Yeah. Now, imagine being a kid. You're just like, you just like started accusing people of having the cooties, and you're just like, and then you find out like later that day that it's killing the whole world, and you're like, I knew it.
Yeah, don't lick door handles.
Yeah.
That's exactly where you get the cooties, right? Or from
I thought,
somebody else.
I thought it was always like, it was like girls and guys would accuse each other of cooties. It's
Oh,
like, oh,
that's true. Yeah. I think that's more accurate.
that's kind of like when I grew up. It was like, because it was before you had any inclination of why you'd like the other gender at that point. You'd be like, Jesus Christ, these girls are gross.
Yeah. But I think mainly if you told the girl you got the cooties, you kind of wanted the cooties from her. You know,
Hmm.
I think
There's
so.
there's like one sick kid. He's like, oh yeah, give me your cooties. Like, and he was just like ahead of the curve, you know. And then people were just, well, this kid's fucked up, you know. But like, he just knew how things really were, you know.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, we're isolated, I guess is the proper term.
So
So,
are you doing anything different other than just not seeing as many people or?
um, well, I still have to go to work, and I guess we're deemed essential, like most other things right now. But yeah, like I'll be going to work, and I'm still going and picking up stuff from the store. The only difference is I carry like hand sanitizer, and I'm washing my hands like a freak, and I think I'm a little more aware of proper hygiene, which is weird to say that like I always have been, but like now it's like just an uber awareness of things I've touched, things I'm touching, what should I do?
Hmm.
So like, I mean, I'm still hitting the Walmart, I'm still hitting the grocery store, dollar store, you know,
I find
it's
it's
just,
weird when you get stuff in from your home now from the outside. It's like, I guess now it's like we've kind of learned that you can do so much to clean yourself, but I feel like weird, like it's almost like a mind bending idea to me to like clean the things that come into my house that, like I wouldn't normally think about. Like I went and got groceries today, and I was like cleaning the boxes of the food, and I was like, or like my gloves. I was wearing gloves outside, like my winter gloves, and then it's because I was like, well, I'm touching stuff. Then I get inside and I'm wiping those down with like hand sanitizer wipes and stuff. And it's those extra steps that make me feel like a crazy person because these are things that don't seem natural to me. It almost kind of irritates me, like not like in like a upset way, but just kind of like it upsets my flow of a personality. I feel like, or how I interact with things. It just seems kind of weird and off putting to me.
yeah. No, I get it, man. And then like it's like what is that? I see that meme. I don't even know, like Napoleon Dynamite, or I don't even know. It's from that guy though, and he busts in the door with stuff, and he just throws it towards his kitchen. He runs into the bathroom, and that's how it is. It's like I don't want to touch anything.
I feel like, did you ever
I'm
see
scared of
this?
fruit.
Yeah. I
Like at
bought
the
kale
store, I'm
last
like,
week and I
I want to
still look at
buy,
it weird.
I want to buy like peaches, but I'm like, fuck, that's like the one, like people squeeze those suckers.
Think
You know
about,
what I
think
mean?
about
I'm like,
grapes.
man, grapes I think are pretty safe.
Like there's so many of the grapes, like how many people could have touched each individual of those grapes, you know?
If you go, yeah, but a lot of times you'll get like you'll see them and like they're folded over, like they just like the guy who packed them, like they just came out of a box and they got put down. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty trusting of some of the grapes, but when you get into like apples, peaches, pears, like stuff like that, like loose fruit.
Peaches are also furry, if you think about that. They probably can maintain some more germs, you know?
I don't know. I don't know, but
Like it'll get in
that's
there, like it's
troublesome.
probably harder to clean, I bet. Whereas an apple is kind of sheer, like or chic, you know? You just kind of rub it down. It's waxy.
You know what? I think that somebody needs to invent a UV light fruit sanitizer. Something that, like, like a little box, you put the fruit in it, like a little apple or whatever, close the door, or even not, whatever, and the lights go on, and it knocks out any germs on the fruit. Because like I think UV light does that kind of stuff, right? It's just as bad for humans.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I thought about like that, like you know how people have, my grandparents have a veranda where it's like a door before the door that gets you get into your house, or it's like their little like enclosed like
Okay.
thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
normally it's for them just to like sit somewhere that's not so their neighbors don't see when they're outside. But I think there should be something like that, like you're saying, or like a mist that you just like walk through with all your stuff now, and then like it's like it just takes care of all the shit. So once you get past this little like zone, then everything's good.
Yeah, I don't know about a mist,
It would
but
be
I,
something like
I like the
basically it'd be like a
UV
very
light.
Star Trek type thing where you just kind of walk through and then it just boof, and you're in and you're out, and it's like it takes all the guessing out of having to like wipe shit down or wash yourself, or people who come into your home, not you wouldn't have to like trust them to wash themselves. It just like gets everybody.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind any kind of technology that can help, but I think my idea might be more feasible. You know,
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna give people cancer with this thing I've got going.
it's in my mouth.
I
My
was thinking
mouth.
about like, we used to joke about like, there's that joke of when like back those all these I don't know how long ago like all these bacteria wipes and things came out. Like there was probably like maybe from the SARS thing from before, where like everyone started to notice, well, it only kills 99.99% of germs and stuff. I wonder if like for real now there's going to be like that 0.101 that survives, and it's just going to be a nightmare now.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it 99.9? You're right. Yeah, they
They always, I
probably
think, because they
will
just can't
say.
guarantee it kills everything, but people are always joking about like that's going to be a really fucked up strain of bacteria that's going to like evolve from that, and that's kind of why like our mom works in a hospital, and we used to work and say that like they had to really start cutting back on how much of antibiotics and stuff they're using because they're overprescribing them, and like bacteria and strains and
That's
stuff
a
were
little
becoming.
different.
Yeah, but it's the same idea where like the more you overuse stuff like that, then the bacteria gains resistance. But just the idea that I think would be kind of interesting, that like what happens with that, you're just going to start seeing like a
See the
individual.
difference. Well, it's a little different because medications are trying not to kill you. You know what I mean? If they didn't care, Yeah, they could give you some good stuff. It'll kill you. It'll kill the virus. Like
Mm.
basically, chug a bottle of Lysol, and it'll probably knock the virus out, but it'll take you out too.
Hmm. Well, anyway,
So
so then I had a thought of like, it'd be really, really cool. What if the 0.01% takes out the 1%, gets them back, you know?
yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like a numbers or like, well, it's weird. It's like this little bit of bacteria only kills people who have billions of dollars. I don't know. It's just a thought. Like it's more of an idea. I don't think it's gonna happen. There's no science behind that, you know?
No, but you know what? Maybe there should be, but we're definitely not scientists.
Yeah, I'd say I'm science minded, not a scientist. Yeah. I took a few classes here and there. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like this has been like an interesting time to be alive, I think, right?
Well, yeah, this is definitely uncharted waters for the planet right now,
Because like
and
my
it's
grandparents had the
scary.
depression, and like people had the
Yeah,
depression and like World War One and Two, and like wars and like all this stuff. And this fits my personality best, I feel.
you know
Like,
what? The war stuff. Well, even like what they're all talking about, the influenza or Spanish flu 1918 killed 50 million people. The wars, that would have been scary too.
mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, that would have freaked people out probably just as much in a
Yeah.
way
Or just
than
like going through the depression is like kind of like this in the sense that everyone's displaced, the economy's crashing, but like right now, at least people still have like internet and food and stuff. That's not the problem. It's more or less like all this other stuff is it's like a snowball effect. But I think for someone who's like me who doesn't mind being inside watching YouTube, it's pretty okay for now.
as long as you got toilet paper.
I do. Well, I mean, like, that's maybe not like, I wouldn't say the good thing about having roommates, but like, I'm not currently, well, I don't know, that depends. If anything, things go south, who knows, but it's not my time to buy toilet paper for a while.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I bought my, I bought my share, sometime in October. Basically, I think I buy enough for my quarter of the year or so. So like I'm fine for now, technically. But then there's the trust that stays true in that
Hmm.
situation, you know? So
No, but that's the thing. Like, if everybody just operates normal.
I'm keeping a spare roll underneath my bed, if that's what you're wondering.
Well, you just keep a couple old newspapers around just in case, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of books and stuff too.
Start ripping out pages.
I didn't like this one. Yeah, so much. I think like you could even how gross would it be if you just started like with wearing a diaper and like wear a
I
cloth
don't know,
diaper.
man. Yeah,
Wear wear
you still gotta
wear
clean
an
yourself, man.
we don't wear an adult cloth diaper and then you wash your diapers every week. Would that be like the grossest thing? Like I think people would hate me here if I was the guy who was shitting into a diaper and then still washing it in the machine, you know?
Man, I can't do that. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think I'd have
But
a weird time. I remember I used to
we're not
have
kids.
well, no, I used to have trouble with that when I was a kid, where I didn't like pooping in toilets that weren't
Too much
mine.
information.
Well, it's like one of those things where like I would shit myself on purpose. Just sometimes it'd happen because I'd try to hold it in for too long.
Too
I
much
do like
information.
I do like pay my paper route, you know. And I would be like, I'd love to go home and shit right now, but I was too nervous to like ask people to use their washroom. So that happened from
Hmm.
time to time, but like I just know how horrible that always felt. So like as an adult, I've been always very good about. I don't think I could ever go back to that feeling.
Well, a lot
So
of people are more comfortable in their, own spaces, and that's one of them. I think that's very
also,
normal.
Also, have you ever like gotten a little bit of shit on like your hand and it's just like you can't not smell it and it's just gross and it's just the worst? Imagine a whole
Nope,
bunch of
I don't
shit.
think I have.
Oh no, something fell.
I don't think I have, man. You're really into this one though.
But I mean, like, I feel like
Having
every
some
once in a
technical
while.
difficulties over there.
No, I had a pair of headphones. They fell off my stand here.
So yeah, so I mean, we're not there yet. I don't think we're in the shit show, if you, if you want to call it that. But I don't
What
think
is
we're
what if
at
this
that
is
point yet. I don't think we're at that point.
episode 12 of Evenings with Kirk and Murray? We're just talking about how we're shitting ourselves for the good of the economy.
You know what? I'll always figure it out, man. Pretty savvy,
I
and
don't,
I'm pretty resourceful. I don't think it'll be that bad for me.
dude. Like,
But
it's
you
weather's
never
getting nice.
know.
There's nothing stopping us from just digging a hole out back and just.
You can do whatever you want, man. But
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think like if you start getting the appropriate amount of fiber in your diet, you start having some clean shits where it just
we got to move on from
com-
this
where it
topic.
just comes out. I think without even the wiping, it's just like
So
that's what
what
I'm
else
hoping.
is going on? So people are paranoid about toilet paper and hand sanitizer, which hand sanitizer is very handy. But you don't
Oh,
want soap, man. Just wash your hands as much as you possibly can. And I believe in gloves sometimes, like some latex gloves, if you're like gonna go to the gas station and you don't have hand sanitizer,
mm-hmm.
or you know what I mean, like certain environments, like yeah, maybe you want to throw on some gloves for 5 minutes and conduct your business, and then just get rid of
Mm-hmm.
them. But they say hand sanitizer accomplishes the same thing, right? If you do stuff and then you just sanitize, and you should be good. So I don't know, man. It's one of those things. We're gonna live through this, hopefully, and the world will be a better place, and we'll have a vaccine. And
Mm-hmm.
well, I was reading that they're gonna do a clinical trial on a drug that's used for gout, and because that's an anti-inflammatory, which I guess is this virus is causing all the problems with the inflamed lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to start
They say it's
doing.
like pneumonia.
It gives you pneumonia. It actually does, but it's the inflammation that's the big problem. And then yeah. So I don't know. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that. But they're looking for like people to sign up for it that are already like infected, and like the 50% of them are going to get like a placebo. So sucks for them. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess that's how scientists figure out if it works.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna like, yeah, keep pretty positive. I think in terms of this, like, this something will happen. It sounds like they're working really hard on uh on the vaccine, or at least, yeah, like the whole idea now is that people I think are more behind like the idea of just like doing what we can and like the isolating and it's I think it's like a positive vibe. It doesn't have the vibe of like end of the world, so I feel like things are okay for now. Like people aren't really like. I mean, it was kind of crazy seeing people like just like mob grocery stores and Costco's and stuff, but I think things have kind of leveled out a bit. I'm really kind of upset every time I go out somewhere just to like walk around and there's still people kind of congregating in groups and shit. And I'm like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, in our area, it doesn't seem like like at first people really realized what was happening, like that, how much it meant to be. Maybe like, take a break from all that for a moment. But it was, one of those times where I'm just like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, even though I'm outside, but I'm like I'm not talking to anybody or meeting people outside. So I'm just needing exercise.
Well, because people are idiots, and like that's the problem is that some people are like, well, I like whatever, I don't care, like I'm not going to change my lifestyle, and like they're just they're like just that's who they are. And then there's other people that can't handle that it's that serious, or it could be that serious, and like that if they had to change their life, they would have to face the reality of the situation. So they refuse to change, because then as long as they continue to do what they're doing, everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel fine, everything is fine, and it's a sense of it's not affecting me. You know what I mean? And there's people out there, and they're doing that.
Oh yeah, those kids who are on spring break in the States,
Yeah.
that was really, it was pretty hilarious. I was laughing just because how dumb it was, but at the same time, you're just like angry, like an angry, you're like, you dumb fucks, like, you're gonna kill people.
You don't even
Or
have to
like,
go that. You don't even have to go that far, man. Even here in Toronto, I like a guy I know. He lives in like a condo downtown, right near the harbor front.
mm,
And on the weekend, he said he's like, there's a whole bunch of people everywhere. Like, people are just out, like, just normal. And he's like, it's kind of busy. And I'm like, yep, morons, right? And he thinks it's because it's all the people that live in condos or apartments, and they can't handle being confined in that space. So they're
oh,
like, I gotta go out. I gotta get out. We gotta get out. It's nice. We
mhm.
gotta go out. We gotta go for a walk. We gotta go do whatever. And I get that. Like, you can go for a walk, but he was telling me, like, it's not like people were sitting around on the ground, and, people are having picnics, and like, it's like, what are these people thinking?
Mhm.
Like, this is an inconvenience for everybody, but we all should do it. But I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
you're
I
right.
kind of understand. There's a certain type of person, like, for sure, but it's like, when I was seeing people out, it was kind of like, because it's like such a stark contrast from when you're seeing like, hey, like the government's saying this, and I'm seeing like Trudeau go on TV, he's isolated every day saying like, please stay home. And then I went to the grocery store, like, and then you have to wait like a few feet behind the next person. They're letting people in and out, like one to one, and then
Hmm.
they got the fucking bulletproof glass in front of the people, and like kind of, or the like not like it's a big sneeze guard basically in front of the cashier, and they're wearing gloves. And I got pizza the one night, like a week ago, and the guy's wearing gloves and a mask. Like, it's hard to like think when all this external stuff you're seeing is like this, and then how people can then still try to live like against it is kind of, I don't know, it's pretty ignorant, but
No, yeah, it is definitely. But it's like yeah, they don't get it. It's even now. Like, I got people, like, I know people, and they're posting up like, oh, this is the government, and like society is fine, and like this isn't like, and now it's getting worse, and it's like, oh, well, this was created by the United States, and blah blah blah. And it's like, really, man? Like, you're just gonna keep switching your conspiracy theory. Like, it's just gonna keep evolving, right? Like, it's just gonna keep changing, and it's like, oh, it's exactly what the world wanted. World governments colluded, because now, look at this, we're on like lockdown, and forced gathering, public gatherings, liberties are being taken away, and people are happy about it. And it's like, buddy, buddy, like, you're fucked. And then it goes into the whole like, well,
this has
you
got to
know
be a great time for people who like like conspiracy theories, though. It's like, oh god, it's probably
no, but that's exactly it. Yeah. And then
there's
he
so
like,
much to
but
go over in this
well, I'm
sense,
like,
but
and I ask him, I'm like, are you maybe get a vaccine if it's developed? And he's like, no, never. And I'm like, really? Okay. Like, I'm not going to try to convince somebody about the merits of taking a vaccination,
yeah,
but I'm like, all right. And like, this is an adult human who is educated, and I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. And then, like, I know a couple other people where before it got here, when it was still like overseas, and they were really talking kind of down about it, like, oh, people need to relax, It's not that bad. It's just, the flu is worse. Don't worry about this.
Mhm.
Don't let it affect you. Like giving it no respect, right? And now it's here, and their tune has gone 180. Like now they're like leading the chant of panic. And it's like, you were the one telling me, relax, don't worry, this is not a big deal.
Mhm.
Influenza, kid, blah, blah. And they were wrong. All of their information was wrong to begin with, but I'm not going to debate their inaccurate, science and numbers because, influenza kills blah, blah, blah a year. And it's like, well, yeah, it also infects like a billion people or whatever it is, like 500 million. I don't even know.
Like
But,
everybody gets it, yeah.
a lot of people get it, and
It's
a lot
weird.
of people die. But if you gave this to the equivalent number of people that got the flu, the number of people that aren't going to make it is going to be way, way more. Not only that, the number of people that come out of it that survive with major medical problems,
Mhm.
like lung problems and stuff, way higher. So like when they're sitting there going, "Oh, the flu, this is just another," no, it's not. So they don't know what they're talking about, and it annoys me because people they weren't doing the proper research, and they're trying to tell other people.
Mhm.
So, and then it just looks bad because you're like, well, fuck. It's like the typical don't believe everything you read on Facebook or in the social media circle, right? It's like I saw pictures and like people are like Italy, like because Italy's getting pretty pounded right now with it. And like
Yeah.
they're showing photos of like coffins and like they're like, this is what's happening in Italy. Like you got to get your shit together. Like this was taken, and it's like no. Apparently this photo was taken like 2013 somewhere else for some other reason, and it's like people are exploiting this problem to further their own thoughts, and people are believing it, and it's like I
Mhm.
double check everything when somebody posts like some nonsense about.
Oh yeah.
Like even like what was surprising though? You heard about this the white supremacists? Did you hear about this one?
No, was this a person?
The white supremacists apparently in the United States somewhere the KKK or I guess the KKK or whoever has told the people if you get this virus, try to infect law enforcement. Like use spray bottles and spray police officers and their vehicles and door handles and places where they go and work, and it's like this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of, and I was like this has to be fake news.
Mhm.
I think it was reported by an actual news outlet like
So why does the KKK
CBS
have?
News or
I'm
something
just
like
confused why the KKK would want to hurt police officers.
because it's the KKK or
Don't they hate
white
black? Don't they hate black people when they wouldn't be like, hey, if you see any
white
black people?
supremacists. I don't know, but it said FBI warns that this is happening. So I was like, the FBI.
So maybe they
Like,
just hate law enforcement because they're trying to stop them from being cool white supremacists or whatever.
yeah, I guess I don't know.
Every
But
time
you know what?
me and my buddies get together with our swastikas, these cops are always saying stop hanging out together. So we're gonna get back at them. It seems pretty crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
stop hanging out back at the Dairy Queen and go home, guys.
yeah, put away your baseball bats and your AK-47s.
But I thought it was fake news, man. And then I Googled it, and then I was able to find some like a legitimate source, or like a source that I believe would
Mm-hmm.
be reliable, like CBS or CBS News or NBC News or so, you know what I mean, something legitimate that was reporting the exact same story. So I was like, okay, so the person got the news from like a no-name internet news website, which I don't trust. But
There's
once I
what's his
looked
name?
into it,
I think probably a few senators now in the United States Senate have the coronavirus because the one guy was under isolation, but then he was swimming in the pool that they have in Washington. So They're like, this guy had, so a few people are for sure gonna have it now because this guy was like in like their locker room and swimming and like still going to some meetings and things even though he was supposed to be isolated. So,
Idiot.
yeah.
Well, I also heard, what was it recently? And we should probably get off this topic in a second, but somebody in the States, and see, I don't know if it's true or not because I read it on social media earlier today, like, not long before we talked, where somebody like Texas junior governor, I don't know, somebody down there is saying old people should want to die to support the economy.
Yeah.
Do you
I don't,
understand that? Like, because
mm,
he's like, we need to lift the restrictions, and it like if they get sick and die, they should want that. Like, they should
hmm.
understand this is for the betterment of the United States of America.
Well, that's kind of
And
like,
you
I
know what
mean,
I mean? It's like
it's a pretty rough thing to
what
say
a
in that
dumb, like,
sense. But like, I was listening to like Joe Rogan's podcast earlier, and he had made a point which was kind of smart but kind of dumb, similar in the same vein, going like, if we let the virus just like go through and do its course, then it would get back to normal faster. But then that would obviously kill more like certain more effective
it's
type
not.
people in the long
It's
run. And then I was kind
it's
of like, well, that's kind of wrong because,
it's not even that.
sorry.
I understand what you're saying and what he's saying and what this guy is saying, but it's not about like letting
No,
it rip.
that's
Like,
why
that's
I
what
was
they're,
about
because
to
people
finish
are
my
saying
point.
that.
I was
Yeah.
going to finish my point and then tell you why I thought the opposite. I can see there's two sides to that because the other point is that what we're doing now is slowing the curve of the virus so it doesn't overload the medical system.
That's the
And
only reason. That's the
yeah,
only reason.
because then that'll slow things down and people us more like we can kind of control it the best we can that way. Bides time for vaccines or
There's no
medical
vaccine.
research.
There's no vaccine coming anytime soon. But
That's
yes,
what they're
it could
doing
just
now. They're trying to find like ideas and things that work, and it's just like you need to give it time. So
anything that they feel could help. They want to try to test out. But I mean, even in a best case scenario, like I said earlier, like the gout drug, which is readily available, that has been around for like 200 years or whatever it is, it's still a 30-day clinical trial that is not ready to go yet. They're still looking to start it, which is going to be, and they're like, oh, if we find, we're getting good results before the end of it, we'll get that information out to the populace. But it's like, it's still going to be weeks, months, like, and this is like something that's already ready, that they're just looking to help people fight the illness, right? This isn't a vaccine or anything. A vaccine, 18 months,
hmm.
so by that point, this has already happened. It's over. So it's not about a vaccine. It's about letting the healthcare system deal with cases as they come, because then people got a shot. If it's too overloaded, then people aren't going to be able to go to the hospital, and we're going to have a complete disaster on our hands like Italy.
Hmm.
And that's not what anybody wants. But yeah, these other people that are like, let it rip, and it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about, and you should shut up. You know what I mean? Like, because they're just like, they don't understand, or they don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of
Some people
like
don't care. They're like, survival of the fittest.
it's kind of a
It's gonna take,
disaster in
and
both
I've heard that,
ways.
but I've heard that too. Have you heard
This is
that?
really gonna make things like it's like one of those things where it's like this is like it's like a disaster that's like pushing its way through the door, but we're mostly keeping that door closed. You know, that's
Yeah, but I mean, in a
it's still, but
way,
it's what else are you gonna do? Let the thing come out, come.
no, and you don't want it to, because whatever, we're good. But I mean, in another way, you can look at it that it's taking the burdens from society, or not the burdens, but it's taking the weakest links out of the population. And some people want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like the idea is like it's like a facet of weakness. It's not like some people are getting sick who are you would think would be healthy otherwise. And it's like it's not really up to them to decide, I think, but
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, a facet of someone's like weakness would be that they're immune deficient, but that doesn't mean that they're in
No,
other ways.
but that's what people would say. Like they would say, well, that person is not
But all my
the
point is just that
strength.
you could say that like that maybe that, but you can't hold like one person's weakness against them because everyone
No,
has a
no,
weakness in
I
some way.
don't.
What if
No,
the
no,
next thing is like it's
physical weakness.
it's like, well, what if the next thing is something, and it's like, well, then it affects more people, and then we can't even, people are going, well, is it fair to say that, like, I don't know, like, I have red hair. Let's say the next, it's probably a bad example, because people will say, yeah, well, those redheads burn. But, like, let's just say the next thing is, like, if you have the genetic gene that I have that has red hair, or it's in your system, what if these people start to be affected? There's nothing wrong with us health-wise, or,
My son has red hair.
yeah, it's exactly. So I'm like saying like you could have something like that, and then maybe the virus is attacking that gene in people for whatever reason.
Well, he has copper hair,
Sure,
but
but it's that's what I'm saying is that like it's
I
like
get it.
that could be a thing that could happen in a virus. Maybe who knows? And would you say those people have a weakness because of that? Like it's just
No,
like the right thing to do because like you're
no,
saying
that's
we're in
attacking that would be attacking a genome. This is not doing that. It's
I'm just trying to speak from like the point of view of like what's right from society to look at, because I
oh,
don't.
I'm with
That's
you. But
yeah.
people look at it that if you can't fight the virus
Hmm.
and it takes you, and it seems to be taking people with like the immune system deficiencies that are older because their immune systems are weaker or
Hmm.
deficient, or they have underlying health conditions like high blood pressure, um, diabetes is a big one, like these other issues that, like, for me, oh yeah, for me, no, none of them deserve any of that, and we got to fight to have everybody survive. But other people in society would look at it and say,
Hmm.
no, like, let that happen.
Yeah,
Let
I
it
think that's
happen.
kind of like
It'll
lame.
live
It's pretty
through,
lame people
and
to think that way because.
it's like a forest burn.
uh No, I know.
The strong, healthy trees
I think
can
it's really
survive it.
lame
The
from the
weak
point of
ones will
view.
not.
From the point of view, it's lame to think that way because none of us anymore are the strongest surviving type people. We're all people who've never had to survive anything. We all
No,
basically live like,
physically.
no, but like most of us physically, we couldn't survive outside of society. We
But you're
couldn't.
spinning it, man.
Hmm?
There,
What?
you're smart, and you're spinning it into, like, a different thing where
No, I think
this
I
is
kind
just
of
an
like,
internal genetic thing where, if, like, some people look at it like that, they're like, well, if you have high blood pressure, then
mm,
that can be carried forward in your genetic coding. So your family members for, whatever, generations could be susceptible to high blood pressure, right? Because you had it, and a lot of ailments are passed down through generations, right? So some people look at this as though if it rips through and it eliminates all these people, the genetics of the planet become a lot healthier, right? Because there's a lot less of these underlying ailments to pass on to the following generation, which means the following generation should theoretically be healthy. It's not something I agree with, but this is an argument that some of these people, where they're like, just let it happen.
mm,
That's what they're looking at. They're like, if their body can't fight it off, then they're, for whatever reason, and then it comes out they have like a health issue, they're fine with it. And it's like, well, I'm not fine with it, because I'm a human.
yeah.
I'm
No, I
not a
mean, like,
stone. I'm not a
basically, I was
stone cold,
just
heartless bastard. But
Just like my point was just more or less like if that you think about like if the strongest survive type people, unless these people are someone who could just like live off the land and doesn't need society, then like they have to understand that there's like basically there's like when you like live in like a society like ours, it's modern. just kind of an expected thing to how you look out for people. And that's what makes people people, is the fact that like our ability to take care of each other and to basically be a tribe. Even like basic animal instincts are to like look after like other things in their intake, you know?
It is. It totally is. But you know what? And it's fun. And you probably heard it too. And if I was dropped into a scenario wherever with 3 other people or even 1 other person, and there was a threat, fucking animals, zombies, whatever, and we have to get out of there, I don't have to kill the threat. I don't have to do anything with the threat if we're getting chased. I just have to be faster than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to be, because if he falls behind, they're going to pounce him, and there's the meal, or there's the target. They're not coming after me. So that's society. You know what? You could be in a group of people, man, in the savannas or the wherever the fuck, and a bunch of lions come after you or whatever the fuck it is chasing you. You're going to see some real primitive actions happen, even though people are sharing food and healing each other's wounds and everything. You just got to be faster than the other guy. If that's your last resort, then that's it. And I know people, man, yeah, you've met some of them where they would be like, and I've heard that people tell other people, they're like, the only reason you are surviving is on the good graces of others, and it's like, that's cold shit for somebody to say. And I've heard people say it to people, and I'm like, all right, well, that's pretty rude. And they're like, because is this person capable of surviving on their own without, a rabba or a grocery store or fucking McDonald's right up the street and, all these other benefits that we have.
Well, I think if you live in a big city like here too, like I remember when I was growing up in Sarnia, like there was a point where like I lived near like a lot of farms and stuff, so like that was pretty clear to me, like where all the food and stuff came from and how to make it. But then I moved into like a smaller town. We had like a garden, and so like we could grow shit in the garden, and we all knew how to like do that sort of stuff, but like being here in Toronto, I don't even have a way of even doing any of that. So like I have to like 100% rely on the fact that there's a grocery store and like a McDonald's. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, and that's like it's kind of like maybe why those scenarios play out so crazy in movies with zombies, is that like there really is like when you're in a big city, right? Like there is nothing to do. Like you can't, like when that collapses, it can get pretty dicey,
Well, yeah, and I mean that's the point. But I've known some people that are pretty harsh, right? And like this scenario, I think they're probably pretty good people overall. That they would, say like we need to slow it down and find a cure, or, like let medical try to help as many people as we can, right? But like I know, man, there's people out there that are like, just let it go, let it rip through, because you know what, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And, other people are saying it's not going to just go through once.
Yeah.
Like, if this vaccine doesn't come out in the next 18 months, it's going to rip through here. It's going to go back overseas. And then next year, we're looking at the exact same scenario. And it's like, shit, you know what? It's true. It could happen again. And
yeah, they were saying on the news that likely this is happening already in Wuhan, because they were like, basically the Chinese government was celebrating that they had beaten the virus, and then now they're just finding like reports that it's starting to recirculate again. There was like a rebound effect. So it's
they're also laxing, so like people are still sick or unknown like carriers.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly. People, if you're starting to take like lockdowns off and like letting people out again, it's not over yet. Like it still says there's a whole fucking bunch of people still like dealing with it. They're not recovered. You can't do that. Like it's like here. Like I talked to somebody who's smarter than me, and they're like, the only way to stop it in its tracks, containment, is you basically lock everybody down into their homes for a week, and somehow you come up with the manpower to do like a census door to door. How many people are in this house?
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you test every single person right there at the door, and you move door to door, door to door, door to door.
Do you know what
And that's the
South
only way.
Korea
And
was
you get
doing?
tests back, and then that way, within a week, you know if everybody who's infected, who's not infected,
Uh,
and that way you can isolate everybody that's infected and everybody that's not infected. You know, so then you're good. Like then you're like, okay, we now know every single person here and what's going on. But the way we have it right now, absolutely not. Like they're not. There's people that aren't showing any symptoms walking around, but if they went and took a test, they would test positive. How the
mhm.
fuck are they, like you're not containing that person? That person feels fine,
Yeah.
and that's what
No,
this
the
self-isolation is supposed to do is to like take that person out of the equation. But he's
uh
still got to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, no, the
So
interesting thing was like they said like there's the reason why in Taiwan and South Korea they've been so good at containing it is kind of the reason why a democracy like Canada wouldn't be good at it because they're basically suspending civil liberties to people who have it to like they go through your phone records, they track your GPS from your phone, like your phone history to see where you've been, to see who might have been in contact. And they're basically like being detectives to figure out where all these people were and who were around them. And so they're just like, they're clamping down. They clamp down that way. So like, it's almost like instead of doing like a whole big net, they were just finding the people that could have been like, were the ones who kind of started it or kind of like exposing to other people. And they're like, well, we're going to figure out who exactly you were, around. And then apparently that's worked really well. But then that's also like, and surveillance and stuff like that too, they're doing, which is things apparently because of legal stuff in Canada they wouldn't consider doing. Kind of like how they're not forcing people to stay at home because they're trying to like be still like a democracy here, which is kind of like, I get, but like, it's interesting.
but see, yeah, but this is the thing. This leads back to people are still, even the country is still trying to operate in a normal, civilized, democratic way without infringing too much on its citizens' rights, but at the same time, it's trying to still have an economy, right? Like they're
Mm-hmm.
still trying to like, keep things going and, like a little bit here and okay, we're going to try to have the people, and it's like, well, there's places where it's just, no, they're shutting it down early. Like, they're not screwing around. They're like, nope, we're done. Like the minute the cases start happening, they seal the borders, cancel all air travel. Everybody's locked up. And it's
There
like,
was a
that's pretty
drone.
intense. But you know what? That's keeping the cases down. That's saving lives, right? It sucks. Like
There was a
it's
drone
inconvenient
following
for
this
everybody.
lady around. Did you see that on the news?
No.
This drone was just following this lady around in China, just like telling her to go home. It's like you might be sick, go home, but it's like doing it in I think Mandarin though, like over the thing obviously, and just kind of like shaming her to go home. She might, and it's like, and they were like, and then it was cut back to some lawyer thing, a lawyer interview in Canada, and they're like, could you foresee the Canadian government taking actions like that? And they're like, no.
No, you'll never see a drone
You'll
going
never
down
see
Yonge
someone,
Street
you'll
yelling at
never,
somebody.
you'll never see like Canadian civil liberties put to the test like this. So it
No,
seems
and
like
we're at the point where we got to start, but it's a mess, and I don't know, man. We just got to try to pull together and get through it, and like I like how people are, or at least the grocery stores and stores are starting to like wise up and put limits on the hoarding, try to
hmm
like prevent the hoarders from like freaking out and like
hmm
uh, buying all the toilet paper, like, because literally that's what's happening. And like they like I saw they were talking to people and they were what are you doing? Like, you have a big family? And they're like, because right now you have enough toilet paper. If you used one roll a day, you have enough for like half a year or some nonsense, And
I saw something that said that
and it's
it's
like,
a
why do you need that
psychological
much?
thing. Apparently, they couldn't because people couldn't figure out either like from supply chains and stuff who've seen this sort of stuff in the past of people like hoarding, like why is it now toilet paper? And then one guy, he's like a scientist that suggested, like from a psychological standpoint, why someone would grab toilet paper, these big bundles, is because like the mental impact of it's such a big thing that you can grab, and then it doesn't expire, and so it's more of like just like in the need to grab shit, you know? They just like feel like this is the big thing I can grab. It's like it's substantial, you know? And so from like
I'll agree.
our dumb monkey brains tell us that's a good thing to grab. They're like a big thing. And it's not really like a whole big pack of toilet paper is like you get that much shit at once. It's like what, $10?
Well, it depends. Like, you're looking at $18 for, pretty hefty. You're good. You get $20. I'm going to say $20, and you're good.
Yeah.
You're
So I
good.
wonder if it's
That's
like a
48 rolls or whatever. Like,
yeah, because I've bought that much toilet paper times before, but it's just like me stocking up because I know I can get it online or something or a good price, and then I'm like, oh, I'm secure in having enough toilet paper for quite a while, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
But I wonder if it's also like people are like if it's the impact of how big it is and like stocking up on stuff, but also like because everybody else is doing it, like someone got the ball rolling, now everybody thinks that's the thing you gotta get.
I know that I was shopping. I went out twice the week before everything got crazy, and the shelves were full. And I went out and I did like little grocery runs. Like, I wasn't preparing for anything. I was just daily necessities, or I was just buying what we needed. And we needed toilet paper. And I was like, oh, but like, I just bought like a little pack to get us through. Because I was at a grocery store, and I was like, well, if I'm going to buy toilet paper, I'm going to go to Walmart. I'm going to go get a larger pack for a better price. So I just bought like, I don't know, like a 10 pack or whatever, like something small. And then like that weekend, everybody went nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty good on everything. And then like a few days, like, and then it's like, you know what's funny? I'm going to need some toilet paper. Like, I'm not, and we weren't desperate, but it's like, I'm going to have to think about getting it. And then, yeah, it was gone. And I'm like, shit, like people are losing their marbles. And like we had a little bit backed, as a backup, and I had a third party pick me up a pack, like a jumbo pack or whatever. I'm like, if you see any, grab me some. And they did. And they're like, okay, well, this is here. So when you swing by, I got this for you. And I'm like, all right, cool. So even I knew in reserve, I had, a decent sized package waiting for me as backup. So I wasn't screwed. I went to a Home Hardware because I needed garbage bags, and I was looking for, not Lysol and not like none of this cleaner that everybody's like losing their minds over. I was looking for Febreze fabric cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So things that are on the shelf, like these, nobody's buying this, so it's there, and I'm there, and I see they're selling 2 packs of toilet paper for $2 each, and I was like, huh, well, that's pretty expensive, like, kind of, and I'm like, but then right next to it, there's these big brown boxes, and like it's got like an industries written on it, like it doesn't say toilet paper. And there's a staff member there, and I'm like, hey, what's in that box? And the guy's like, toilet paper. And I'm like, oh, I figure it's just what they're going to pull out for their display for their $2 packages. And he's like, we sell it by the box too. And I'm like, well, how many rolls are in that box? And he's like, 48. And I'm like, how much is it? And he's like, $22. I'm like, give me the box. So I took the box. And you know what? I'll say I took that box. I got the other one, and psychologically, I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm good.
Put you at ease,
you know what?
yeah.
I don't need it now. And you know what? But until I had that box, it was in the back of my mind. Like, oh, well, everybody else is getting it. Everybody else is taking it. Like, do I have enough? Like, if they said we're locking you in, and like, fuck, all the toilet paper company, like maybe people there test positive for this, and then all of a sudden there's a a supply chain interruption. Do I have enough toilet paper to get through like 3 months? I don't think I do.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think I do. And it's like, okay, I don't know if 3 months, but I think I'm good. Maybe 3 months. But then it's in other things. Like, is there enough,
Yeah,
enough rice or, hand sanitizer? People are buying it up. And luckily,
I think right now
I
if
do have enough. I
all
do have enough to get me through. And I'm lucky because I do have that. So I have little bottles that I'm filling and I keep it on me at all times. I got some in the car. I got some in my pocket. But other people are going to have to go and find it. And I'm lucky enough that I have enough of it, and kind of like a ready supply, or I have access to sanitizer if I need it.
Mhm.
And
Well, if
so I'm
supply chains just stop altogether, I think I'd run out of food before I run out of toilet paper. So,
see, but in a way, I thought that too, right? I went out and I was picking up just some stuff, and I was at the store. And this was when everybody was still going nuts, and before the limits weren't, like, stores weren't limiting anything. And then I was at the store, and I just was in the frozen aisle, right? I was buying, what was I buying? I was buying something. And I saw frozen veggies, and I was like, well, I was going to buy frozen veggies anyways, like peas, beans, and corn, right? And instead of just buying like one little bag each, I was like, okay, well, I bought 2 big bags of everything, and and then I'm like, well, I can freeze them. And instead of fresh fruit, I'm like, fresh fruit only lasts for, a few days a week. I was going through and I see all the frozen fruit, which isn't the same, but I'm like, you know what? I'll grab a few of these bags. And I threw them because I have a little bit of not a big deep freezer, but I have a secondary freezer right outside of my fridge. And so put it in there. Oh, grab some chicken, freeze the chicken. So there was a little bit of not like doomsday prepping, but like, do I have enough food? Do we have enough food to last a 14-day quarantine
yeah, I
or a
think
21 day,
that's
And
kind
I
of
was
like
like,
the way to do it. I mean, I didn't go to Costco, but I ordered stuff online from Costco, just thinking like, well, if I'm stuck here, then I'm gonna need these. Like, I bought like, this big giant bag of almonds and like pumpkin seeds and some like fruit and nut mix thing and some peanut butter pretzels. So I mean, I had all these like
it's a
snacks
real
ready to go.
survival. Yeah, it's a real
Well, I was like,
survival.
these are like the basic things I could just eat, right? And just have some snacks. Because that's what I did. Like all last week, I just kind of snacked on that stuff because I didn't really want to go out. I knew I needed like more groceries than I was able to get the one day, but it was like right after the whole mob had gone through my local no frills, and I didn't really know what else to
Uh-huh.
do. I looked into like getting Walmart to deliver groceries, but they've
Uh-huh.
done a thing where it's like a 3 day window. You have to select times you can get delivery,
Yeah.
and there's just no time. There's no times available. They won't go any past 3 days, but then you're shut out
It's
of
all
luck.
booked up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all booked up, so that means that you either have to go pick it up or you can't get it delivered. So, which is kind of those things where I'm like, well, now I guess this week I have to like hope things have gotten better. So when I went today, it was like, yeah, it was just not as bad as I thought it would be. But
Things are better. And like I was telling people, like when I went to Walmart right in the middle of the insanity. And I went there for completely unrelated reasons. Like I wasn't there for, what was I there for? Like, I was there for like dish soap or like no, I was there for dishwasher something. And so, and ran other thing like Ziploc baggies or not even like just things that were not in demand. And I couldn't believe like just the cleared out aisles. Like I was just like, wow, like, okay. And people are like losing their minds and like some people are laughing and some people are like, look, wow, like, people are crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like, just wait a week or just like wait 5 days. If you're good for 5 days, you're gonna get it. Like, you just come back in 5 days and, because the rush of the insanity is happening now and then people are gonna buy everything and then they're good. and they're going to feel good, and then the store's going to restock. But I do know stores were behind by like 2 days deliveries. Like
Yeah. Well,
they
it's
were
also like
behind. So
nice to
like
know
if
that like
they're
at
sold
this
out on
point in
Sunday,
time
they're
it's
sold out on Tuesday, you know?
yeah, but it's like nice to know that like at this point really can't like everything is staying like production is staying open. So it's like you give them time. Like there's really no supply chain disruption emanating this stuff so far. So it'd be crazy like if something like we couldn't get any more because like a good example was like they were talking about IV bags that they were made in one particular place.
In Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. So imagine if there was like stuff like that like
They
happened
talked
here
about
locally.
that. They talked about that whole thing, saying like the IV bags come from this spot in Puerto Rico, and
Mm.
like this place gets, like natural disasters, and they're like, if one hit
And then it
and it
did.
disrupted it, and this facility couldn't do it or get their supplies out, it would wreak havoc.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like nobody thought about that. Like people are like, damn, you're right. Like, you know
I
what?
think they
In
did.
this
It's one of
case, we've
those
had,
things
what
how
am I thinking about?
people
Wu Tang, or I don't even know, man.
Wuhan.
Diversify.
No, I
um,
think people think of these things, but then the people who run them just go, nah, it's fine. Kind of like, oh, it's like the guy. There was a world conference last year where the guy had brought up the fact that like something like the coronavirus could happen globally, and being like, this sort of thing could jump the thing, and from and then everyone could get it, and there wouldn't be a way to slow it down, and then and they're like, yeah, that's a possibility, and then it came true. So it's like,
we're actually kind of lucky that it's, I think we're going to learn a lesson from it, because we're already seeing mass panic, panic shopping. It's scaring a lot of people. It's overwhelming the medical industry. Like if everybody got sick, it's over. Like we would cripple um, our infrastructure. And this virus isn't the deadliest one. It's what would happen if we had a worse one that ripped through, and like, yeah, the supply chain is going to stop. Like we aren't going to be able to maybe get toilet paper, or like that's going to end, and now we have to wait for a plant somewhere else to do it. So like instead of getting it in a day or two or even 5 days, it might be 3 weeks. Or bread, local bread. You can't go to the grocery store and buy a loaf. Like it's just not going to happen. So you better learn how to bake. But then it's like, can you get flour? Because right now the shelves are bare, because everybody else is thinking the same thing. Like, what if
yeah,
I can't get bread? And so they bought up all the flour, but now the bread's doing pretty good. So it's like, okay. But like, that's with this. If it was any worse, then what? You know what I mean? It's like I could like right now, it's like people are like, we're right there, and we're not collapsing or anything. But if it was
yeah. The thing
worse and it was in the public and it was killing, let's say, 70% of people, like if it
yeah,
was like Ebola,
the only thing I'd heard
you
about
know,
the like that particular sort of thing with viruses and stuff is that like this one is like the this sort of virus where it's at like it's not like a lethal one for most people, but it's the most contagious. So most like there's sort of like a trade-off apparently with viruses where like the most deadliest ones are
the
generally
hard,
not the
yeah.
most contagious ones. Like they generally kill people and then they die and then the virus dies with them faster. Whereas the contagious ones are this one's so contagious it stays around in your system and it gets all these people affected around them. But if it was really deadly from the get-go, it wouldn't. I guess maybe the thing would be if there's a mix of two of those where it was like a really deadly virus that was like dormant for 2 weeks, then it just killed you flat out, and then that would be really terrible. But I think for now, like at least we're lucky that there's you only get one or the other, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never heard of one that's just like you can't detect it. Like that's just a silent killer then. But like
Mm.
that's the problem with these, is that like the common cold is like, if you get sick, it's like, I think it's like 2 to 3 days. Or like, you could start showing symptoms a day later, definitely 2 days, 3 days for sure. Like you're sick. The flu is like the same, up to 4 days, and then you're full blown into like, sick. Where this is like, 4 to 14, but this whole time you're contagious, and it's like, that's a problem, because you feel fine, but you're not, and it doesn't hit you fast enough, right? At least a cold, the next day, or a day and a half later, you're like, you know what? I think I'm coming down with something. And if it's like in this pandemic, you could be like, you know what? I got something. Like I better stay home or see a doctor. Like, so you've only had a day where you could do some damage, in public. Where this, you could have fucking more 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I feel kind of stupid now for like
wrecking havoc.
Well, I feel stupid now for just enjoying like how dumb this all sounded. Like I was like, when it was happening, they're like, oh, the coronavirus. Oh, what's that about? And it sounded like something that was never going to be an issue for us here. And then like it was one of those kind of because of the name and whatever, but like just the impact now. Like it was one of those things. Just like I wish I could go back and punch myself in the face every time I like kind of made a joke about it. Like it's
I think a lot of people here felt the same way, where like this problem doesn't happen here. This is a kind of these kinds of issues happen in Africa. This is where these viruses happen, where it's contained in areas down there, and they block off air travel, and they can't leave by land, and it gets isolated, and like it still happens, but like those people aren't coming here. And, but then, China was a little different, where it was like, but even then I was like, oh, they'll contain it. They'll get their shit together. They'll contain it. And, they didn't.
They essentially like shut down a whole like, city that was like bigger than I think Wuhan is like the size of Canada in terms of population almost. Like there's there's like at least
5 billion there in China or some shit. So
but just like the city of Wuhan, I think when they shut down like transportation, but then there is a global map that my mom sent me that like shows the individual spread and transfer of all the people, and it's like kind of like what we're saying was like, yeah, even when they had they did all that, all the shutdown stuff was like this is like kind of within like after there was a 2 weeks, right? So within that 2 weeks, there was all these people who flowed in and out of that city and out of that country and in the airports and all around.
And so that's the problem. Is that
and then that's the But there's like a really it was interesting. She sent me a whole like infographic. You kind of can see all of how everything's split off and where it went and like how fast and easy everything just goes. It's incredible.
I saw like a current updated map of like the world map of like where it is, like the hot zone, like basically it's all there, it's interactive, which was cool. It's everywhere. It's literally everywhere you can think of, and I'm like, how the fuck did it get all these places? But then it's all now there's community spread, which is the problem. But originally it was all travel. It was all travel related, and that's where nobody wanted to be the leader. Nobody wanted to say, you know what? We have to, after case number 10, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you know what? Fucking air travel's done. We're sealing the borders. That's it. Like, obviously this is a travel-based disease coming in. People are bringing it here. So we have to stop it. And they didn't do that. And the world didn't do that. And now there's this huge issue, and it's like it was all out of one area in China, and look what happened. It's everywhere, and it's a mess. And these are lessons that people like, especially Canada. I don't give a crap about anywhere else. This needs to get dealt with a vaccine, hopefully as soon as possible. And then we now know for the next one, the minute you got any kind of travel-related illness coming in
Mhm.
this serious, where it's, fucking wrecking havoc over in China or wherever, you're done. That's it. We're done. No more visitors, no more traveling. That's it. Anybody, like, nope, it's over.
Yeah, it
And
would have been amazing to have not even, I wouldn't say foresight, but just the intelligence to think like it would be like, if they would have been like, look at the impact of what was happening, going like, we should have just banned all this travel. And
but
like,
everybody kind of was like,
yeah.
fuck, 2 weeks ago, whenever
But
it
even
started
like,
popping up out west, and I sat there
yeah.
with people, and I was like, they're getting off the planes, man. I'm like, they gotta fucking shut down the airports. They gotta
Mhm.
fucking shut down. You gotta stop the travel. That's what you gotta do. That's the only way to keep it out. And they didn't do that.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. And they let fucking everybody in, and bang. And those are the cases that you're detecting, right? So it's like, well, how many other people came home, didn't show any symptoms,
Mhm.
didn't self-isolate or self-quarantine because they weren't told to. And here we are. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I don't know, man.
We'll see.
On a tip, though, how do you feel about the fact that, the movies, everything's shut down. All production's done.
I'm making my own movies now.
This is Kirk and Rubber Ducky.
It's all my movies are just me playing every character. It's like an Eddie Murphy movie.
Nice. Well, hopefully it's as good as Coming to America.
But Mama, I said I'm not gonna go there.
The Nutty
Goddamn boy,
Professor.
you get in there.
Nutty Professor was great.
And it's
The
lots of fart scenes. It's good.
oh man, that movie. When I saw that, 1998? I want to say 98, something like that. That movie cracked me up, man. That's a funny movie.
It's a good one. That like family fart scene is like, oh man, that's like a masterpiece.
It was just a funny movie, yeah. But
Like
so
think
that's
of the
what.
talent you'd had to do. Like it's not like I wouldn't say from the writing standpoint, it's just farts, right? But like it's like a guy playing like four characters around the table. It's pretty amazing. I think he was only not playing.
He's talented.
It was just that one. He was just like he was everybody except for one person in that scene. I think, yeah.
The girlfriend.
Oh, there's a girlfriend, but also there was like the kid. There was the
Yes, you're right.
Hercules,
Yeah.
like the
You know
fat,
what? You're right. Yep.
this fat little
With the
brother.
afro, yeah, with the afro.
Yeah.
How do you feel about no sports?
At first, the hockey kind of bothered me because I was like, I kind of like, I didn't realize at first, I guess potential threat, of like, and I understood like the idea of like, yeah, not having these arenas open was pretty dumb, and it kind of happened suddenly, and they just canceled it. But then I was hoping for like, I would have still watched if they just aired the games, even though that would be weird with like no crowd. I would still watch that, and I was still hoping that like,
Well,
and I guess,
everybody was, right? Like, it was gonna go ahead.
mhm,
Like, they were even talking like, okay, if things start to get weird, we'll do the games without the crowds, right? And I think
mhm,
NBA was talking about it because LeBron was like, I won't play
yeah,
if there's no crowd. And then the NHL said, we will play our games without a crowd, um, in areas that are affected by it. So like if, New York got it, then they were like, nobody expected it to be as bad as it is.
mhm.
But then that guy, it was like during the game, right? Like, in the NBA,
Oh, the
and
microphone touching guy.
and then he was positive, and then somebody else on the team is positive, and it's like, oh, okay, so now you have 4 or 5 NBA teams that are mandatorily quarantined because they all interacted or played against that team, and you have a whole bunch of support staff that's quarantined. They can't travel now, like all this nonsense. So the NBA at least stepped up, and they dealt with it. But then the NHL realized, like, oh fuck, all right, we're gonna have to we're going to have to make a move here. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
And then MLB was the last one to do it. Like, they were playing games afternoon.
Oh yeah, they had spring training going on. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Spring training's still going. And, they were still going with games until like 4 o'clock. And then the day after, everything was being canceled. And then they finally said, we're going to postpone the season. And then basically every league around the world followed suit for the most part. Shortly after that, but it's like the idea of playing with nobody there was good, but the players weren't like this self-distancing or self-isolation. They weren't doing that.
Lots of butt slaps in baseball. It's got to be hard, right?
You know what? I don't. Basketball's a hard one because there's a lot of like they're sweating on each other, right? And you're sharing the ball, and like that's going to be a problem. Hockey, that one's probably harder to give it to somebody maybe if you're playing. But it could I don't know. Yeah, it's in baseball.
Well, even think of like the Leafs this year. There were like certain times where they're like, well, people were like, why are the Leafs playing like shit? Then it would come out that like half the team has the flu. So like think of these guys spend enough time close quarters that like, and it's like an airborne virus. So these guys would ultimately probably give it to each other, and that's the concern, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's always a problem, and like they've always said, like the minute a player gets sick, you generally isolate the player. Like you'll have like there's been times where players are like in playoffs where they're gonna play, and they suit up and like they don't suit up with the team. Like they may even like charter the point, like they might figure out alternate ways of getting the guy to where he's got to go, because you get them all together, they're gonna get sick for sure. Yeah, all the players know that. Like it rips through clubhouses, right? It's any close community of workers, sports or whatever. You're gonna, you're gonna have a problem.
I got an email from the Blue Jays because I think because they've been in their intake again for security this year, and they had a whole like maybe like not even like a week or so ago. It was just basically a plan to try to like support all the people at that level who are like in like the who are like work the games, like there's like all the different like vendors and security and staff there that are, like they're not the millionaires, right? So it's like having their season, it's like having their season and their work canceled as well. I mean, at that point, I don't think I was going to go back anyway to the games, maybe, but I was like kind of sad that like that, all got canceled and all those people, they're going to get left out. But it sounds like, all these sports organizations, the Blue Jays, the Maple Leafs, MLSE, they're all doing stuff to, help out the workers, but,
Well, I mean, there's part of the problem is that, like, basically, like, the NBA has said that, like, a lot of teams are supporting the part-time staff and things like that, which is good. And some of the players have chipped in to, like, be like, you know what, I'm going to donate money to help out, the cleaners or, whoever the people were that were working, we'll give them money. But, like, the NBA has said, like, they don't know, like, they didn't put a date on it. Like, they just said, we're suspending our season. So, nobody knows if they're coming back or what they're going to do. Or, I guess they don't know. But, like, they're in a better position because you could technically shut down the NBA and the NHL. And realistically, you could end it now if you had to. You could say, you know what, we're going to start the playoffs in August.
Yeah. That might be bad for hockey though.
Well, it won't be just hockey. It would be basically every sport. Like you're looking worldwide, right? Like
Oh no, I just
seeing
mean like
soccer is on a
having
hiatus. Like everything worldwide is waiting. So
no,
you're
I just
gonna
mean
have
like
all these
summer
leagues
hockey
starting
wouldn't
up.
make sense because of like most arenas couldn't support like ice in summer. It would
Yeah,
just
they
be
can.
well, they kind of can. It wouldn't be ideal though. Like most weather in the summer, it's going to be too warm. Like
Mm,
it's like when you
old
see like they
arenas, the humidity. It's the humidity inside, right? And it
uh
melts the top layer of ice. But and then it gets a little soft. But nowadays, like it should be all right. Like
maybe they just decide to play them in other places because some places I imagine like I know there's some old barns out there like in like Long Island.
the
Like I don't know.
NHL.
Yeah.
No, that's an inside. Like all of those arenas are capable of playing hockey in August.
No,
It's
I think
NBA.
some are still pretty bad though. Like I think for that, like because it's the I don't know. That's what I
The
mean. That's why
playoffs
I
end in June, July. Like it's hot. It's not going to be any hotter in August.
it might be. Well,
June.
it's like
It ends
June.
in
June
June.
isn't even the start of summer. They're definitely been over. They've been over for like a few weeks by the time July hits. So I don't know.
Do you
I
remember playoffs? See, every year everybody forgets. I remember, man, back in the day, it's hot. Like when the
at
Leafs
least.
went Final Four way back.
Mm,
I like it's
well, I
summer, man.
remember when
It's like t-shirt weather. I'm
Dallas.
drinking on patios, watching the game on patios on big screens,
There was
like
like not that long
t-shirts.
ago. Dallas was in the finals in like '99, right?
That's
Remember when
right.
they won? And it was like you could see the fog and the stuff on the ice. It was, and they were saying it was like the ice quality was just so poor. But
No, yeah, but arenas they've all upgraded their systems. They've all come up with that humidity sensor crap that balances the ice temperature from the air temperature and automatically is tied into the HR to the CMMS system, and it's all climate controlled now. Like the days of like needing that Edmonton guy to like come and fix your ice, I think is over.
I think he
But
just leaves loonies in your ice too all the time.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
He's the lucky loony guy.
yeah, yeah.
So
The
people don't realize that the loony is the catalyst that keeps the ice nice and good, you know? But anyway,
whatever works, man. But yeah, so baseball though, they're the ones who are screwed because
mhm.
they're not going to be able to start their year at all.
Yeah, so you can't
Like,
even really get going.
they said we're going to postpone the opening day by 2 weeks. They're
Mm.
going to change that pretty soon to indefinite. They're not going to know.
I think they should just do a home run derby and that's it.
But right now you can't do anything.
Yeah. No, I mean like once they can just go like because that's pretty like socially isolated distancing wise. Just have a one hitter from each team and like a pitcher, and then who can smoke the most dingers, and that's who wins the World Series.
See, I was thinking have every team and just do a tournament. At
Hmm.
whatever point even if it's September,
Every team except for the Astros are
every
welcome.
team.
Yeah, but that's the episode, everybody. Thanks for tuning back in. I know it's a trying time for everybody out there in the world today. Um, do you have any last thoughts, Murray?
Well, I don't even think we intended to talk about this virus for the
Just what's
time
out there, you know.
being, but I guess it's we were dealing with it, so it's
Mm.
on our minds, and I guess it's easy to talk about for the first episode or the first conversation we've had in a little while because of it, and me being busy and you being busy.
Hmm.
And I'm looking forward to the fact that we can do more of these more frequently. And now that we've had this talk, we can go into other things like
Yeah, for sure.
what kind
We're
of
gonna.
video games are maybe coming out in 2020, or well, I guess that's about all we can look forward to right now. So,
Yeah, and streaming services. Yeah.
And then, maybe we do some more reviews, right? Because we're going to have a lot of time sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
So, and this is a lot easier to just, have a
We
quick
want
chat
to,
about, a video or a TV show that we're watching, and
we just
maybe
want to help out and
maybe have
entertain
some
and
fun with it, and
people.
not be as heavy. This is a
Yeah.
heavy episode. We're talking about viruses and shit.
We
Where,
promise going forward that that's the most we'll talk about the coronavirus.
yeah,
uh,
that's
but
most
I
we'll
mean,
talk about the coronavirus and shitting. But
yeah, it's one of those things though, I think it's on our mind, it's on everyone else's mind. But we know that's why people come to listen to stuff, is they don't want to have to think about, they want to get away from, the worries of the world. But, I know we just want to thank you for stopping by again, and, hope you have a nice or, good evening, right?